To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Apparently, this sign doesn't mean what you and I think it means. It actually has several definitions. The dictionary says that no trespassing or trespassing means to be on someone's property without permission. So when you put no trespassing, you would think that means that you're not allowed to come on this property without my permission, right? So as you know, police and law enforcement and different entities, government entities, have been on my property several times. I've made several videos about each instance, and I'll make a playlist on my channel. Go to playlist with all the occurrences that I've had run-ins with the police and different law enforcement on my property. But to give you a brief overview, my problem is I have subscribers who like to call the law enforcement on me. So the very first subscriber complaint called the code officials in my county. Now I live in an unincorporated area, but that's still confusing in itself. I say unincorporated, so people immediately assume there's no laws regulating my property. And that is fairly true. I could build a tiny house without any regulations, no permits, no codes. Septic, I don't need any permits as long as I do it myself. Well, working on the well, I didn't need any permits as long as I do it myself. But the first time one of my subscribers called on me, somebody complained that I was dumping waste, human waste, into the creek down here. Well, I wasn't. So the code enforcement officer came over from the county. Again, we don't have a government agency in this area, so it's the county that came out. Dumping waste falls under regulations of several entities, obviously. Falls under the county regulations, the state regulations, and the federal government regulations. So he asked if he could come on the property and take a look. Now, when I said that in my video, of course, a lot of people said, you don't have to let him on your property. But I did, and I'm gonna explain, I guess, really how it worked out for me really well. So we came down to the creek, we walked the entire length of the creek here, and you can see it's a dry creek. And there was no evidence that I was dumping waste. He was quite satisfied. We talked about me being on YouTube and subscribers and all kinds of things. Well, at the time, the tiny house was under construction. And we were walking around, and he says, what you building there? Explained exactly what I was building. I didn't have anything to hide. I figured if I'm gonna get in trouble, just well get in trouble now. Now, I read the code enforcement book very thoroughly. I was pretty confident that I wasn't in any violation of anything because it was under 400 square feet. Well, he took a look at it and thought, man, that's a genius idea. And he says, you don't even need a permit because it's on a trailer. It's not even considered a house, which I hadn't considered. So by him coming on the property and me being cooperative with him, I learned something and had now a government entity supporting my efforts. Well, the second time I got called on was another guy. Well, there actually 3 times I got called on by 2 different people. So the second time, the sheriff was called. Said I was building a tiny house without a permit. And he came out and basically asked me, do I have a permit? I explained to him I didn't need a permit. Went through the whole conversation with him that I had with the code enforcement officer. And so now, the sheriff's buddy's with me. He watches my YouTube channel. He has subscribed. And he works with me now on complaints from subscribers. Because the second guy called on me again, and they finally got him. Working with the law enforcement in this area has really been to my advantage, and I'm happy I chose that path. Now, since I've made that video, those videos are very popular. I get hundreds of people telling me all the time that the police have no right to be on your property without a warrant. I have done some studying on this. That is not a true statement. They have a right to come on your property without a warrant. They can't really investigate a crime, and it's very limited on what they can do. So what they can do is, I'm gonna start right here at the beginning of my truck. This is where the road is. They can look right at the sign. They can walk right by it, turn around the sign, which is why I put it there, come up to the bridge of my porch, come across the bridge, onto the porch, and they can knock on the door. So having told any of them that they were trespassing wouldn't have made a big difference. The police can knock on the door. You don't have to answer the door. You can tell them to leave. I think you can tell them to leave if they don't have a warrant or they're not investigating a crime. They had to have probable cause. So like if Carolyn, my wife, is screaming out of the window, help, 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 and the police hear it, they can come onto the property and actually investigate why she is screaming help, and that comes under probable cause, I think. Now the question is, was the sheriff and the code enforcement officer investigating a crime? I don't think they were. I think they were investigating a complaint. If they had a crime and they had evidence of a crime, I think they would have needed a warrant. The thing is when I was building the tiny house, there was no entrance to the house because there was no house. Now, I will admit that both of them only came onto the property until they saw me. I did find a case in Arizona where I guess some judge has actually decided to deal with this. And what they determined was that a police officer can pass up a sign, a no trespassing sign, come to your door. If you have a gated property where they can't enter without actually moving the gate, they can come on your property. They cannot come on your property if you have a gate and a sign. So that means that we're gonna have to get a fence if we want to keep everybody out. Now, as far as this trespassing sign, when it comes to people, there's the legal definition and there's the liability definition. The legal definition says a person can walk from the same path I just showed you to the door, knock on the door. As soon as you tell that person to leave your property, they are then trespassing. I don't understand why the sign doesn't keep them off your property, but apparently they have a right to come to your door. Everybody has a right to come to your door unless you have a gate. The only thing in the state of Missouri that the no trespassing sign protects you against is if somebody gets hurt on your property who did not have permission to be on your property. So if somebody comes on your property, wants to knock on the door, and they trip and fall and hurt themselves, or the bridge breaks, I did not give them permission to be there. They took the risk on their own by passing up the no trespassing sign. And so they're liable for their injuries, not me, which is the primary reason why I hung the sign here anyways. Because I knew the insurance laws. I don't want to buy insurance. There's no reason for me to have insurance. If the house burns down 5 years, it would be cheaper for me to rebuild it, cash out of pocket, than to pay for insurance each month. So the only reason I need insurance is in case somebody gets hurt. Well, if I can keep people off my property who don't need to be on my property by simply placing a no trespassing sign, then I am not liable. The problem comes in is if UPS, FedEx, or anybody else that has permission to be on your property and they get hurt, I suppose they could sue you. So I don't allow them on the property either. I've asked each one of them to give me a little honk. When they come up to the drive, they honk, I run up to the hill, I get the package on my own. The FedEx guy I've actually given my phone number to, and he'll give me a call sometimes before he gets here, let me know he's on his way. UPS sends out an email to me, let me know they're in the area so I can be on the lookout for them. Now, the other day, a lady came on to the property and she wanted to talk to Carolyn. Now remember, Carolyn has social anxiety. So Carolyn doesn't want to talk to anybody, ever, especially strangers. So I went to the door, she says, yeah, I want to talk to your wife. I said, you're trespassing. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't ask her what she wanted. I said, you're trespassing. She says, well, can you relay a message to your wife? And at that moment, she was in violation of the law because I had a no trespassing sign. She walked up to the door, knocked on the door, and as soon as I told her that she wasn't welcomed here, she immediately became in violation of that. She was supposed to immediately leave. Now, if she'd have gotten hurt on this property, I would not have been liable for her injuries. Now, there are a few exceptions to everything that I have said here. One is if you have easements, so like if you have a driveway that you have to share with your neighbor, it's on your property, but he has to be able to get to his property. I've known several cases in the state of Missouri where that you have to provide easement into their property. Or an electric company. Electric company will say right on your title that they have easement rights and you're supposed to keep a 10-foot path for them to be able to come through your property. You can put temporary structures there, but you can't build anything there. They don't have to ask for permission either. However, they do ask for permission. Our neighbor had a pole that needed to be replaced, an electric pole that was owned by the electric company, not him. So they came and asked or informed or whatever the case is that they were going to be on the property doing work on the power line. Now, I don't think, in my personal opinion, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really say this for sure, but it seems to me that FedEx, UPS, the electric company, they won't sue you if they get hurt. I think that'd be more like a workman's comp issue. I don't think FedEx is going to take the risk of upsetting their customers by me getting on YouTube and making public that they sued me because their employee got hurt on my property. That would be bad press for them. I don't think they would do it. Now, the other exception is if a criminal has entered your property and the police are in pursuit of that criminal, they don't have to ask for permission whether you have a gate and no trespassing sign. They can come on the property to apprehend that criminal. And in my opinion, I think this is all kind of sketchy information. I think the Fourth Amendment, which tells us that, you know, we have a right to our papers and personal belongings and nobody can come and get them without a warrant, but we regularly just give that right up all the time for some reason. You know, by allowing the police officer to come to your property and knock on the door, and that's legal, and not only do you got to have a no trespassing sign, but you got to have a fence that wraps around your yard to keep police out. None of that really makes sense to me. Why do I have to have both? And why do I got to be a lawyer to figure all this out? So I hope I can inspire you to fight for your freedoms when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.